Hey guys, so recently first-rank captain Vladimir Prikodko, the chairman of Russian Public Research Organization for Underwater Studies, has publicly spoken in regards to Russia, the US, and China spending billions in space, when maybe they should be spending the money deep in the sea, under the glistening polar ice caps, where he claims gigantic alien machines are hidden. And he's not the only one. Since World War II, whistleblowers from governmental bodies all over the world have been lifting the lid in regards to the fact that alien crafts are being tracked, traveling from the top of the planet to the bottom, within our oceans and above. During the naval operation known as Deep Freeze, men aboard a Russian icebreaker would later testify to witnessing a craft surge through 10-foot thick ice, flinging huge chunks in all directions, a silver vessel then shooting off into the atmosphere. Dr. Rubens Dizviela, a famous Arctic explorer, was among those who testified to witnessing the terrifying event. Upon exiting the ice-cold waters, he stated that steam erupted from the body of the craft, indicating the huge amount of energy these mysterious USOs possess. In 1997, Prikodko said Billingshausen Depression, near the Antarctic area, was examined by the Australian Army at a depth of over 6 kilometers. Where cameras recorded strange oval objects which emitted an intense interior light. The film was reviewed by experts from the Royal Institute of Oceanology. Their conclusions were that the structures were of artificial origin. Russian naval vessels also report often tracking submerged dishes, traveling in excess of 150 knots or 280 miles per hour underwater. Former USSR Captain Vladimir Azaza, head of the navigational section of the Oceanographic Commission, said when questioned that about 50% of encounters with UFOs are connected with the oceans and 15% are connected with lakes, making a huge portion of close encounters in the form of unidentified submerged objects rather than flying. What these mysterious events are caused by, or indeed what the mysterious craft are beneath the ice cap, remains a closely guarded secret, with only handfuls of whistleblowers ever coming forward. Yet they all stress the same thing, that we are not alone on this planet.
In the Museum of the Unexplained in Reed Spring, Missouri, a rather peculiar artifact can be found. Known as the Bob White artifact, Bob was driving with a friend down a Colorado highway one night in 1985, when they would both experience a close encounter. As the craft flew over Bob's head, according to Bob, it dropped him a gift, an object which has caused Bob numerous issues. Quote, "I don't know about you, but as for me, every time I hear people from Skeptic magazine lying through their teeth, it makes me sick. They say they have never seen any hard evidence of UFOs. This is only true because they refuse to look at this, a piece of a UFO. So the next time you see the Skeptic magazine people on Larry King or some other TV program saying there is no physical evidence, you will know they are lying. I have challenged them to debate me, but they are afraid. So, Skeptic magazine, you have been exposed for the fraud that you are." That was a statement made by Bob White in the late 90s. He further claimed that in 1996, he was flown to the classified Los Alamos National Laboratory for a detailed analysis of his evidence. White was told by senior staff that the object he recovered was indeed of extraterrestrial origin, also confessing to have successfully collected another object similar to his before. Although the officials fervently denied these claims, in 2000, Bob managed to acquire U.S. Army documents dating from the 1940s titled UFOs in Denmark. In it were multiple images of an object nearly identical to the one he had. When Dr. Rudolph Olson of Carolina examined the artifact, he concluded, quote, "To describe the Bob White object in the simplest possible way, I think you can say it is an agglomeration of rapidly cooled droplets or particles of an aluminum-silicon alloy. With such an unusual structure, I can only speculate on how it was formed. It turns out that this artifact was free-formed, or more precisely, it was somehow cast in a zero-G environment without the use of a mold. It has been to over 15 labs and universities over the past 21 years, including Los Alamos, Saline, New Mexico, etc. If the artifact had been on a machine or a grinder of some sort, there would inevitably have been forensic evidence left upon the artifact. All we know is that it was in a molten state when ejected into a vacuum under extreme pressure within extremely cold conditions. Although Bob White's artifact rarely gains any attention anymore, it is clearly a most compelling piece of evidence in support of the possibility of alien visitation.
There are many enigmatic, unexplained, ancient mysteries which we have covered here on our channel. Many mysterious ruins which are slowly revealing their secrets to us. However, what must be the most intriguing of the historical subcategories has to be the OPARTs, out-of-place artifacts that have been found all over Earth. These mystifying items are the only subject within the field which can shed their own very unique lights upon the distant past, and sometimes hard-to-believe possibilities attached to their ages. The island of Samos within Greece is home to a number of these particular artifacts. 1.5 kilometers off the coast of Turkey, this small island has a big history. Within the island's capital museum is a wide range of very impressive artifacts. The most interesting among the collection is undoubtedly the strange bronze artifact, which according to academia, merely depicts a strange form of unknown carriage that would have once been pulled by horses. However, some also believe that the strange animals are actually depicting a form of periscope, and that the entire artifact is actually that of an ancient submarine. Additionally, there also exists another amazing artifact that we felt was worth a mention, found within private collection. Originally a religious idol, what do you think this wooden artifact is depicting? Could it actually be that of modern-day paragliders, somehow sent back in time, seen and depicted by this once ancient people as a religious vision? It's an incredible, if rather imaginative thought, but it is testament to such artifacts' intriguing nature. There are many incredible out-of-place artifacts that can be found all over Earth. Each one just waiting to spark our interests. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, take care.
There are many things found throughout history which cast doubt onto the modern chronological paradigm in regards to the ages of man. We have often wondered how many of these proofs have been unearthed over the years, only to disappear again into the ether without even a mention. With a caption from one of the many source books of the notorious William R. Corliss, shedding some light onto the numbers of these proofs, found and discarded over the years, specifically drawn out deep from within the minds of Earth. Quote, Dr. Perez Snell of Sonora had in his collection a human jaw, which was brought out in a carload of pay dirt from a shaft stretching far beneath the Table Mountain, and with it were several stone implements. The specimen was given to him by a miner. It is only fair to state that there could not well have been found a miner in all that region who would have thought it worth his while to attempt a deception, nor even one who had any doubt in his mind as to the point we are considering. For they saw the products of man's work come out with the gravel too often to pay commonly any attention to them. The only wonder, he even took the trouble to pick out the bone at all. There can be no question that for one such that has been preserved, dozens and perhaps hundreds have gone down in the current of water in the sluice. The bones in question had come from a depth of 180 feet below prehistoric lava flows. Colonel Hubbs, State Superintendent of Instruction, had in his possession in 1857 portions of a human skull himself, which itself came from an impossibly old mine. End quote. It would seem the presence of these artifacts be predictably rife, yet ignored due to already established paradigms of history. The Calaveras skull, also known as the Pliocene skull, being one such artifact. A human skull found by miners in Calaveras County, California, dated to as early as the Pliocene. Thus, it supports the idea that humans, mastodons, and mammoths coexisted, but also pushed the timeline of man back an unacceptably long way, that in regards to modern paradigms, Predictably, the remains, due to miners' lack of collecting them, has been heavily argued as a fake. On February 25, 1866, miners found the human skull in a mine, again beneath a layer of prehistoric and easily dated lava flow at a depth of 130 feet. The skull made it into the hands of Josiah Whitney, then the state geologist of California, as well as a professor of geology at Harvard University. A year before the skull came to his attention, Whitney had also published the belief that humans, mastodons, and mammoths coexisted. Thus, he became an instant advocate for its popularization. The skull served as proof of his convictions. After careful study, he officially announced its discovery at a meeting of the California Academy of Sciences on July 16, 1866, declaring it evidence of the existence of Pliocene-age man in North America, which would easily make it the oldest known record of humans on the continent. We find the skull, and indeed William Corliss's research, incredibly compelling. During our research, we have stumbled across countless legends and accounts from history which tell of ancient giants. Not only legends, but photographic evidence, and an equal amount of initial newspaper reports of their discovery. This often accompanied with the mention of the Smithsonian Institute's insatiable interest in such finds, and then an inevitable erasure of said finds from future research. Rarely has an ancient giant been allegedly found, with the remains seemingly slipping the net of said institute's attention, making it into mainstream research and an ally's collection before the Smithsonian was able to make said discovery vanish from history. Kaptua being one of these particular finds, which not only matches the initial claims, but has remained in mainstream historical research. Tales of a two-headed, 11-foot-tall giant are not only corroborated by photographic evidence, but the actual mummified corpse of the giant himself. The initial discovery of this incredible being was made back in 1673. An ogre, or two-headed giant, is said to have assaulted a party of Spanish sailors, who fortunately overcame said giant with cunning. After trapping the giant, the sailors planned on killing it, fearing repercussions if released. The cause of the giant's death, however, has long been debated, but what cannot be denied is the astonishing remains which eventually made their way to London. The mummy then vanishes from the history books for nearly 400 years, reappearing in 1914 on the shores of the Burnbeck Harbor in the UK. The mummy inevitably became an extremely popular attraction, with people traveling from thousands of miles away to come and peer at this once monstrous two-headed giant. It remained in the public eye until 1959, a rare exhibit which escaped the clutches of those who would wish to hide it, with many photographs and other research projects allowed to be undertaken on the giant's remains by Lord Howard. This incredible giant, thanks to the Lord's dedication to said curiosity, remains in existence within the public's domain, an undeniable verification of a lost race of giants, which we have long claimed to have had first-hand experience of in their past discovery. A magnificent 3-meter-tall mummified corpse of an ancient giant does indeed exist, and due to its age and primitive technologies available to said claimed sailors, when initially discovered, the possibility of it being an elaborate stitched-together hoax has been seemingly debunked, but also ignored by mainstream media due to the controversial nature of said finds. Who was Kaptua? Was he part of a race of beings in Patagonia, a race we have merely seen these remains of? Is the corpse authentic? If not, how is he constructed to such an astonishing detail so far back in history? Kaptua is undoubtedly highly compelling. Specialist researchers in Volgograd, Russia, have discovered over a dozen ancient disc-shaped objects, which they strongly believe to be the remnants of several crashed UFOs, including one object which is over 4 meters in diameter. According to experts, these strange, out-of-place discs are coated in a thick layer of tungsten, a high-density metal often used in military technology. Cosmopoisk, the team who made the discoveries, is a notorious Russian UFO and cryptozoology research group. They were performing excavations in the district in an attempt to locate these specific unknown objects. They believe, yet will not share where this information originated from, that these tungsten discs are in fact the remnants of several alien craft which crashed in the area during a quote, event. We had already found about a dozen of these discs. Most of them had a diameter of around 1 meter. At Kuzbas, we uncovered a disc-shaped object with a diameter of nearly 2 meters, but this new disc is a unique and impressive find, a member of the team said. The shape of the 4-meter disc is extremely similar to that of our modern-day interpretations of UFOs, and it has clearly given UFO hunters a lot to talk about. It is, as yet, unknown what is within these strange discs of metal. Could there possibly be the remains of ancient pilots? The fact that they are made with a thick outer layer of tungsten is highly compelling. Tungsten is the metal of choice when it comes to high temperatures, this being due to it having the highest melting point of all known metals. It is a prime choice for withstanding the heat from entering Earth's atmosphere. One of the main reasons for its use within military hardware, such as orbital missiles. The newly found disc has been transported to the Zernovsky Museum, where scientists are studying it in an attempt to establish its age and the exact composition of the materials within. Although they clearly reject the possibility of it being an alien craft, they themselves do not know exactly what these discs are, where they came from, how they came into being, or indeed what may lay inside. Earlier this year, another mysterious tungsten-coated disc was discovered in Russia by a mining company near the city of Belovo. The mysterious 1.2-meter disc was located at a depth of 40 meters within the mine, strongly suggesting that it is very ancient. Archaeologists performed several tests and reluctantly concluded that the perfectly circular object was somehow made by man in the very distant past, though they severely lacked any explanation as to how that was even possible. More information regarding the objects will hopefully be made available after experts analyze them in the Zernovsky Museum in Russia. We will keep you posted.